I consider myself a British secular Muslim woman, and I've had no hesitation joining hands with Miriam, because I don't think it's just a Muslim problem, and we seem to be a bit slow in the communities as well in addressing this issue. So I have to take my hat off to Miriam, because at the end of the day we have a common goal here, which is we do not want Sharia law in this country. I'm just going to enlighten a lot of you on some of the things perhaps you're not aware of, because I'm talking from grassroots level of what happens in the communities. For a start, what these men have done, they have used the divorce plight of Muslim women to start setting up these little Sharia councils, because Muslim women, we have a plight, and that is we don't have an alternative where to go. Regardless of getting a civil divorce, we don't know where to go if we're not getting the support to get a Muslim divorce. So this is what people like Suhail Hassan has done, and all the files he's showing you on Newsnight. It's because Muslim women genuinely, you know, we've got no choice but to go to these extremists when we want a divorce. So they've been able to, you know, manifest their Sharia courts. Then somebody else comes along, Sheikh Siddiqui, and suddenly he cares about the plight of forced marriages. You know, you don't need a Sharia court for the people in this country to know that forced marriages is a criminal law. We all know that now. The law was passed last week. You don't need an imam to tell you that. So, you know, if you think about it, they're using us women to set up their Sharia courts as if they really care about the emancipation of Muslim women, when they, you know, very clearly don't. Because both these men, you've got Suhail Hassan, who has sat on national TV and said, what are Muslim, advocating polygamy for a start, you know? What are Muslim women going to do, he said. They're either going to be prostitutes, or they're going to be nuns, or they're going to be left on the shelf. And now Sheikh Faiz Siddiqui, who seems to have the ear of the government, is advocating polygamy again. You know, to me, polygamy is a hidden epidemic in the communities that you may not really be aware of. We have several issues because of this, because the mosques are not regulated. So any Muslim can go to any imam, any mullah, you know, and have a Muslim nikah ceremony without it being registered. So in effect it's an illegal marriage. There have been stories about how some people have got married and not realising that their marriage wasn't legal. So really, you know, there's only a handful of mosques in the whole of Britain, and Dr. Ghazi Siddiqui will tell you this, that are actually authorised to perform nikah marriages that are actually legal, where a registrar might come down. This also enables these same imams to allow polygamous marriages without question. And I'm very passionate about this issue, because I've listened to both these men now advocating polygamy in this country. So, you know, I will share a bit of history with you and why I'm here today. When I was 6 years old, I watched my sister being sectioned under the Mental Health Act, because she found out a couple of months later, after her second child, and found out that her husband had another wife. And of course the family supported her then to get her divorce. When I was 32 years old, my mother broke down in front of me. I was born here, so I had no idea about my mum and dad's history. And she gave me her story, which was at 15 she got married to my father, who was in the Navy, and it seemed like a respectable arranged marriage at the time. And when she went to meet his mother, she found out that he was married and he had 5 children. It tore her apart. She was 15 years old. When she became a mother of 4, my father then, you know, took a fancy, I should say, to an Indian woman in Pakistan, and he married her. Then he came to this country, and then my mother followed him with my older siblings. But he never committed polygamy again in this country. My mother was a bit of a feminist. She made sure he divorced this second wife. And he never committed polygamy in this country again, because my mum knew that the laws of this country protected her against polygamy, which seems to be, you know, a God-ordained right for Muslim men. So what these men are actually doing is they're protecting their own rights under, you know, their Sharia law, their version of what Islam should be. We're in Britain here, And instead of reinforcing the laws of polygamy, these men are advocating, and nobody is looking at the consequences for Muslim women. And I've seen a lot of these marriages where the women have been, you know, been taken care of under the Mental Health Act. They've got depression, like my sister had. Nobody in the community does anything about it. They know so-and-so has gone off and has taken on another wife, and nobody does anything about it. So what about the human rights of those women? You know, I asked the question to you. My daughter is going to be the third generation of British Muslim in this country. How many contracts is she going to need to protect her against polygamy when the British law isn't going to protect her no more? And then you've got Sharia council that are supposed to be there to protect Muslim women, which they're not, and they're advocating practices like polygamy. How many, we're in the 21st century, how many contracts, you know, will my daughter need? And let's not forget, you know, look at the men who are running Sharia councils, for God's sake. We've got Sahel Hassan, as you all know, a Wahhabi, Saudi-trained cleric, believes in the extreme version of Sharia law that is set in stone and you can't change it. You've got Sheikh Siddiqui, whether he admits it or not, he's from the Ikhwan Muslim Brotherhood. And, you know, if you know your history, if you understand jihadism, if you understand what the Muslim Brotherhood had actually done, they start mobilising the minds of the community. You might have your militant jihad, but you've got these guys at a grassroots level, mobilising the mind of the community, making them believe, you know, you're not a Muslim if you don't believe in Sharia law. I believe in Sharia law, but it's a private thing, you know. I may not eat pork, I won't drink, I won't commit adultery. It's left to my conscience, but what these people are doing, they're trying to interfere in family law, they're interfering in domestic violence, and interfering in, you know, the laws of this country. They want separate laws in the community for people, and it really cannot happen. And I'll briefly touch on the story that the lady next to me was talking about. Yes, only last week I found out about a friend's friend who had no choice but to go to the Birmingham mosque that has turned into a Sharia court upstairs. And she was coerced and pushed into signing away her property rights that she should have had after a divorce of her husband in order to get her Muslim divorce. So, do these men really look as if they give a damn about the emancipation of Muslim women? You have to understand, these men have one ideology. It's no different than the ideology you all get to hear about and talk about and understand. And they do not believe in democracy. They don't give a damn about the emancipation of Muslim women. This is about, you know, preserving their own rights. It's about giving the privileged more privilege and control and authorisation over Muslim women in the community, and surely that cannot happen. We have to oppose this. That Sharia law means different things in different societies, in different Muslim countries. For instance, just, you know, briefly off my head here, I know for a fact that in Tunisia polygamy is actually banned, you know, and they're trying to equalise the rights of the women there, so to speak. And here we have a backward way of dominating the communities. I mean, they've had 30 years to do this. This isn't new. And the other thing I just wanted to say quickly was that, you know, the women of Pakistan, if you think of what's happening in Pakistan, yeah, the women of Pakistan will go onto the streets of Pakistan and they will demonstrate and they will have their banners up and they will, you know, oppose Sharia law and the mullahs and the imams. And they do that because they know that their rights and their freedoms, or whatever they do have in Pakistan, will be reversed. You know, the people of Pakistan want democracy. The clash in Pakistan is between democracy and mullahs who want to run Sharia law. You know, so just, you know, for a minute, use your heads and begin to realise what these people are trying to do. They are waiting for their holy moment, and they will use the political system to achieve that goal, however long it takes, because at the end of the day, for them, Sharia law opposes, you know, it's a divine law, opposes man-made law. Democracy. And under a democracy in this country, you know, I know that I'm treated as a full and equal human being. But there's just no way under Sharia law that Muslim women can ever be treated as a full human being or an equal human being.